everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Singer's Toolbox. So, today I have an interesting one for you, as I always do. And if you've been following the forums, if you've been following Glendower Jones, you might know what just came in the mail recently. I got this in about a week ago. Though I'm kind of surprised. I thought they were coming in by April 15th, but hey, I'm not looking a gift horse in the mouth here. What I came to talk about today is the Opera Arias Anthology by Jake Heggie. Now, being the considerate tenor boyfriend that I am, of course, I also bought the Mezzo Soprano Anthology for the girlfriend. But let's take a little deep dive in today and see what these are all about. Just like one of my favorite YouTubers says all the time, we're going to look at the good, the great, the bad, and the ugly. Might be a gem, might be junk. Let's take a look inside and see what we got here. Okay, so from the get-go, guys, I just want to start by saying I am not a professional reviewer here. I haven't really hit my stride when it comes to that. So this is a new format for me, but let's try this out. I'm going to give you some impressions that are on the outside of this anthology, impressions that are on the inside of this anthology, and just some thoughts and if there are any criticisms about how this anthology is constructed. But let's get started here. Just some things that you see very obviously on first impressions, right? So you get this anthology, you have it in your hands, right? First thing I'm noticing here, and these are some pluses of how this is laid out by the publisher, I really appreciate that the first thing that you see is you see the titles of the shows that are available in this booklet, okay? I'm seeing Moby Dick, makes me excited, because there are like so many arias from this show, the Ahab arias and the Greenhorn arias that are just incredible, right? It's a Wonderful Life. I kind of know about this show, not really, but I've heard that there is a really nice tenor aria in there. Don't really know If I Were You, don't really know Intelligence, but this seems like a pretty solid collection so far. Some other things that I notice here, I really like that what's listed on the back here. Sometimes, you know, when you're doing research and it's just bugging you because you can't remember, like, did this composer write this show, or what other shows did this composer write? It also has everything listed of Jake Heggie's on the back here. So you can look up the operas and the stage works, the song cycles and the collections, right? All on the back. Very nice. I also am very interested to know about the choice of binding here. This is a 3-staple packet binding, right? Not a booklet. And I kind of, or sorry, it is a booklet, but it's not like a book binding. It's not like a sewn or a glued binding, right? Which in a way, actually, this kind of works, because if you're going to use this as like a warhorse for anything, like for auditions and whatnot, or for times when you need to have the original, there really is no like spine to crack. This is just, you know, you lay it out and you can stretch it out, and it's not going to hurt too much, hurt the binding too much. Yeah, these are just some initial thoughts on the outside, but let's take a look inside. All right, so I gave you a quick overview of the outside. Let's take a look inside, and I'm going to just pull out here the Mezzo Anthology. There's a little bit more in the Mezzo than the tenor. But let's take a look here. On the very first page, I really like this, especially when I buy anything that's contemporary, any kind of anthology. I like to be able to just turn to the first page and know what's in it. Not just like the table of contents, but, you know, just what's in it generally. This is a little overview of what is actually inside the book. Gives you just a nice little grouping of, like, you got X amount of arias from Dead Man Walking and from Great Scott and things like that, right? Next page, you have your standard table of contents and your performance notes, right? The performance notes are pretty cool. I gave them a read before. They don't give you too much, but gives you enough to like understand the show, understand the motivations of the character who's singing. And I really like that the table of contents is not like blown out to one whole page. That there's like a conservation of space that's going on here that's really nice. Let's see. Let's talk. Oh, okay. So the next page here, you get some nice information if you need to cite anything. Gives you all the performance information of when things occurred and, you know, people who were involved in the creation. So that's really nice. Okay, so I'm looking at the very first page here of the music, This Journey from Dead Man Walking. This is cool. Though I'm kind of curious. I want to save any kind of criticisms I have um, or praises for another part of the video. But I'm kind of curious as I look into this. I'd have a question for the publisher to know: are these taken directly out of the opera score? Like, are these excerpts from the opera score directly, or were these edited for this edition? Right, as far as like how the bars fit on the page and stuff like that. I'm assuming that this was edited for this edition, but yeah, it's interesting to know. Oh, I also noticed something else that's interesting here too. I don't want to get too critical, but I'm just noticing that there is no place here where it says what scene this is taken from, or what act this is taken from. That kind of drives me a little nuts because I like to know, at least if I'm programming this, say for a recital, I would want to know what act this comes from and not have to pull out the score to know when things occur in what act and what scene. Well, before I get too analytical here and what's going on, yeah, so this is fine the way this is laid out. I also want to point out, just looking on the inside, when I was reading the notes earlier, I also really like this opera intelligence that's in here. Just so you know, for any singers of color out there, any tenors of color, there is one specific aria in here called "Why Risk Everything for This," that is written, I believe, specifically for a black tenor. Read the performance notes. It takes place during the Civil War. It's about the spy rings in the Civil War. But let's dig into some pros and some cons of this anthology, and then some final thoughts. All right, so for anyone who knows me, I'm kind of a bad news first kind of guy. So I'm gonna give some cons for these anthologies that I have here, and then end with some pros and some final thoughts. Right. So I have a couple of criticisms about this anthology, just from like an editing point of view. I mean, look, nothing's ever going to be totally perfect, but couple of suggestions, let's just say, putting the teacher hat on here. It's not bad, but let's see things that might make things a little bit more useful. In the performance notes, I really like the descriptions of these arias, right? As a performer, I would want to know, like I was saying in the last section, where these take place in the opera, whether it's the beginning or the end. I think in one of the descriptions it says that it's the final number of this like show, but it's not the final number in 3 Decembers, this aria Daybreak, but I think it's the final number of like the Broadway show that takes place within the opera. I don't know 3 Decembers well. I can't really speak to that. But if I knew what act and what scene these were taking place in the performance notes, that would be super helpful. Same thing on the first page of the arias. If I knew, that would be nice. I would also be curious to know, slight criticism, I really like it when I know where things are in the score, and especially, with contemporary shows, they've only gone through maybe 1 or 2 different editions, right? If it was possible to know generally the measure number, or like some kind of rehearsal letter within the score, just so that, you can have an idea bearings wise where this is in case you have to pull it out and not be using it just for an audition situation, but just to have like, a book of excerpts to know where it happens in the show. That would be super helpful. I also would really love to know if all of the stuff that's been edited in for this anthology, if they are the original markings that are in the vocal score, of like the full vocal score, or if there are certain editorial marks that were made afterwards by the composer, just so that you could compare and see how close it is to the original from the full score. I think that might be everything I wanted to say to this. Um, so yeah, let's get to some positives. Okay, guys, so right out of the gate, positives here. I really enjoyed that Jake Heggie and the editor seem to really understand like what are the popular arias that are being done from these operas right now, and kind of chose accordingly, right? I'm sure that this is not like a full, they've taken every aria from every opera that Jake Heggie's written and stuck it in. They've kind of thought about what's popular right now, which is totally understandable. But it also puts a lot of music that needs to be in singers' hands in their hands, right? There are some operas that, I don't know, in my opinion anyway, are going to start becoming part of the canon in the next like 10 to 20 years. And I definitely include Dead Man Walking. And, Moby Dick, I would imagine, is going to be incredibly expensive to put on. But these kinds of arias are going to become canon for singers to be learning, right? There's some other great selections in here. I really appreciate, especially that aria in the tenor anthology from Intelligence from 2021. It's incredible to just see that Jake Heggie's not slowing down, man. He's like putting his heart into everything. And I was taking a listen through that aria from Intelligence, and it sounds incredible. So, like I said for before, so that aria from Intelligence is meant for a tenor of color. The whole opera is like a Civil War aspiring opera kind of thing. So look into it. It looks incredible. I need to see if I can find, if anyone recorded and if it's streamed, because I'd really like to see that opera just from the description alone. But yeah, so I mean, I can't really say much more. People have been waiting for these operas to become available, these arias to become available for quite some time, to not have to scan it out of the library or pass stuff around from singer to singer just because, like, we want to get our hands on this stuff. Now we can, like, legally buy these arias and have them for the collection and be able to, sing out of these books, teach out of these books. Like I said, I think that Jake Heggie is going to become a name. He already is a name, but, I really truly believe that some of this music is going to become canon. And it's so great to be able to have this in the library. And, like, say, if I want to get into singing these arias from Moby Dick, which I really think I should, or looking at, It's a Wonderful Life, it's all there and it's readily accessible, right? I don't have to go hunting down these scores. I can pull it right out. Though, if Jake Heggie is watching this, I'm assuming that you're not. First of all, I love your work. Second of all, I really I'm wondering about the questions for this, right? That if they're coming directly out of the file for these operas, or if you made any changes to these anthologies. I'd love to know, just for my own morbid curiosity. But anyway, let's get to some final thoughts here. I'm rambling. So final thoughts, guys. Do I think that these opera aria anthologies are worth getting? Yeah, especially for the price. I mean, look, it's kind of hard because the price tag is going to seem like kind of much for an anthology, especially, I mean, these are not horribly thick boys here, but I think that these are really interesting because you're kind of caught in this space where it is contemporary opera, and for the price tag, which I believe, they don't put it on the back here, I think these were 30 each. For what you're getting, though, you're really getting the excerpts that you need, that are not going to be readily available from other publishers. I mean, Bent Pen is the only publisher, I believe, of Jake Heggie opera material, right? So this is the only source to get it from. It's kind of frustrating, but hey, I'm really excited that I have this music and I don't have to hunt down a copy of Moby Dick, right? So, or of Dead Man Walking. I think I have my copy of Dead Man Walking. It took me like years to find a decently priced copy of it. So, excited for these. You should be too. I really hope you go and order these from Glendower because, man, this is worth it. Okay. If you have any other questions, drop them in the comments if you haven't bought it yet. And if you have questions about how these things are, I think you can look up the table of contents on the website. So it's pretty easy to get your hands on that information. But guys, I hope you enjoy. I hope you get to buy these. These are really, really cool. And I will see you next time on the Singer's Toolbox.